Antaryascha bahirvidudativiram Jyotirmayam Sashvatam Sthanam Prapya Virajate Vinamata Ajnanam Unmulayan Pashyan Vishwam Apitam Ullasatiyo Viswasya Pare Paraha Tasmai Shri Ramadaya Loka Gurave Sokasya Hantre Namaha. Arunachala. We started off last session with Ekatma Panchakam, the last original composition of Bhagavan. And as we saw, the original composition of Ekatma Panchakam was in Telugu. The first version of Ekatma Panchakam was composed by Bhagavan in Telugu based on the request by Suri Nagamma. So she persuaded Bhagavan to compose some work in Tamil Venpa meter. Venpa meter, we saw the Lakshanam of Venpa meter in the last session. And she wanted something in Venpa meter in Telugu. First, it was actually requested to assigned to Nayana to compose something. And Bhagavan taught Nayana about the Venpa meter. But for some reason, Nayana was not able to. He was not able to do it in Sanskrit. He was not able to do it in Telugu also. He said, in Telugu, in Sanskrit, the meter called Arya Giti is considered to be very tough. But I'm able to do quite a lot of work in Arya Giti meter. But in this Venpa, I'm not able to. I don't know. It's because of if it was because of he was not familiar with the construct of Venpa or otherwise. But then he gave up. He said, "No, I'm not. It's not possible for me." And then that is when Suri Nagama persuaded Bhagavan, why don't you, Bhagavan, please do it for us? And Muruganar also joined the chorus, and all of them ensued with a specific persuasion from Suri Nagammal, and we got Ekatma Panchakam with us. And the same, as I told, was translated into Malayalam also, in Tamil first, and then in Malayalam later. So we have Ekatma Panchakam in 3 languages now. And as it was in 1947, almost the last couple of 3 years of Bhagavan's bodily life, and after that he did not write any original composition. So Bhagavan gave in the 5 songs, he's given very clearly about the nature of Atman. And if you see Bhagavan's teaching, most of the time, there won't be much of a focus, even like we have the Mahavakya called Tat Tvam Asi. In that, Tat means that. Tvam means you. That is ourselves, we ourselves, the enquirer. And Asi is are, that you are. And when Bhagavan gave explanation about Tattvam Asi, he was not too he never used to discuss too much about the Tat part of the equation. He always was focusing on the Tvam part. Bhagavan used to clearly say, you don't need to know that, because that if you go about knowing that, your mind comes into the picture. Your mind will have to learn what that is, and it will keep going. It will keep on creating a lot of mental conceptualizations, images, and stuff like that. So Bhagavan did not allow us, his disciples, to do that in any time. He never allowed us to take the mind for granted. He was always controlling, putting a noose around the mind, so to speak, and he was always tightening the mind, not allowing the disciples or the devotees to go behind anything that is mental. So he instead wanted us, every sadhak, to focus on the Tvam Padam, the Tvam, that is you, that you are. He wanted to focus on who the you are. Leave that. Once that is solved, the Tat will automatically, you will become the Tat, because you are always the Tat and Tvam are same. So when you try to solve the Tat problem, you are solving a third person problem, which allows quite a lot of imagination to creep. So Bhagavan was always focusing on the Tvam Padalakshana. Now, on the first sloka, we saw Tannai Marandu Tanuve Tana Yendi, meaning forgetting one's own self and considering oneself as the body. Here is where, of course, the whole problem starts with this one fundamental mistake. Rather than being ourselves as our own Satchitananda being, we are thinking we are limited to this body, and from the vast universe like expanse, we are so narrowed, so much narrowed to the extent of such a small body, and we are not able to think anything beyond the body as us. We have allowed a very fundamental error to creep in. So Bhagavan points out, not only in this, everywhere he says, the main problem or the main culprit is considering oneself as the body. So he said, Tannai Marandu, forgetting oneself, thinking you as the body. So when we have read this, we have seen this quite a lot in the last in the last couple of months. We have been seeing this every time. We have been seeing this fundamental mistake. But while we are seeing it, while we are discussing it, while we are reading it or listening to it, we are perfectly convinced. Yes, this is wrong thought. This body is not me. I am the Satchit. All that we are able to very perfectly appreciate the concept, the logic, everything. But once our reading or once our sessions are over, once we go back to our day-to-day normal life to do our routine, we don't bear this thought of I am not the body even one bit in mind. We do every single action of ours is driven by the confines of the body or the demands of the body. Body means, as we have seen, what is body? Body is all three bodies: the gross body, the Annamaya body, the causal body, the subtle body, the mind and the intellect, the causal body, which is the deep sleep, the ignorance that is prevailing in the deep sleep, or the will. So we consider ourselves, whenever we do any transaction in this world, we consider only one of these three bodies come into precedence. We are not able to think that I am not the body. We are not able to transact because we are not, we are for janma and janma and janma, for thousands of janma, we are sort of acclimatized to thinking ourselves of the body, and it becomes very difficult for us to come out of the age-old feeling. We are so ingrained in the wrong notion of considering ourselves as the body. So how much ever Bhagavan, yes, we know Bhagavan's statement will always be the highest truth. We are very happy about it. We are listening, we are accepting, but we are not able to be that in our day-to-day walk of life. So if you think, why is this happening? Why are we not able to do that? Why, while we are reading, while we are in the subject, while we are discussing the subject, we are absolutely confident, and we are sort of convinced that this is the truth. But why are we not able to put it in practice the moment we start our normal life? Okay, let us say I have to go to my work today. I have some files to clear and all that I'm doing. But while doing the on the background, this thought of I am not the body, I am only the self. It's something the body is doing its dharma in form of clearing all these files and other things. We are not able to bring in such a intuition into us. Why? This is simple. This is nothing. We are forgetting the teaching. It's called, in the Sanskrit term, it's called pramada. A nishtayil pramadam. The pramada that is taking place in our atmanishta. It is not continuous. We are not doing it. What is the reason for not doing it? We are not naturalizing it within ourselves by means of, normally when we listen to something or when we read a book or whatever, that portion is called Shravana. And we are good at Shravana. Whenever we have, let us say, I have allocated this hour for reading, and I'll take the book, I will read, or I'll listen to some lecture, I'll listen to whatever it is. We are able to do that. We are able to read, we are able to listen, and the Shravana is taking place perfectly. And that post that Shravana, there is the next stage called Manana. Mananam is nothing but kind of recollecting what we have learned, introspecting based on what we have learned. Oh, okay, this is what I studied. Now, what could that mean? This is the process of internalization that is missing. We are not doing it at all. I can strongly of us here are not going. So we are not able to naturally get the feeling I am not the body. Unless and otherwise we open the book, we are not getting the feeling. Or unless and otherwise we go and sit in front of Bhagavan's shrine for how few minutes, half an hour, whatever. During that time, we are not able to intuit the concept of I am not the body. Why? As we saw, the Mananam portion is missing in us. We are not reflecting, okay, but now I know that there is Tat, now I know that there is Tvam. I need to focus on Tvam. And it has been clearly said, I am not the body. Tannai marandu tanuve tana enni ennil piravi eduthu, because of which I take thousands of countless number of births again and again. I die, I get born, I die, I get born. This is happening. But we have to sit back. This is a reading, fine. But we have to sit back and think, what is the import of the statement? What is the meaning of the statement? Okay, they say, forgetting you. Okay, now what is this you? We have to deeply sit and think about that every day, based on whatever we have learned, based on all the Shravanam we do, based on the books we study, based on the lectures we listen to. So we need to necessarily allocate some time to do the Mananam. Only when Mananam becomes more strong, the Shravanam that we did initially is going to be internalized. And even in normal walk of life, okay, I'm walking from here to a shop to buy some, to do some purchase, even that time, this will be at the back of our mind, at least subconscious, at a subconscious level. Slowly we'll develop the faith. We'll develop the feeling that I'm not the body. Unless that feeling automatically comes in, we won't be able to succeed in our vichara. Because that is the foundation of our vichara, has the I am not the body concept as the foundation of the process of vichara. But we are missing that. We are able to, only when we think we are sitting for vichara, we are asking, who am I? We are able to do this. In fact, yesterday, Jagdish Garu had asked me a question in my WhatsApp, saying that somebody, not him, he said, it was attributed to somebody who is when you're sitting in front of Bhagavan in Nirvana room, in the meditation hall, and when some thought comes in, when the question, who am I, or to whom is this occurring, he was able to put that question, and based on that question, his mind became silent. So he was asking, what is the next step, what we should do. So the next step is simple: extend, max to the extent possible, try to be in that silence, in that silence. But in the 16th sloka of Upadesa Saram, we have seen clearly, first, there are two steps: leave out external thoughts, focus on yourself. Now, by means of asking, who am I, the mind has become quiet. When the mind is quiet, what happens? We have left the external thought. But the second portion, we are not able to do. Why we are not able to do the second portion? That is focusing on yourselves. I wanted the gentleman, whoever asked that question, to be very careful. First, extend the amount of silence that you are able to be in, the time of the time scale, the time length of silence that you are able to be in. Because if I say, okay, now that you have achieved, start focusing on the I. At this time, what will happen is you'll start imagining something called I. An imagination will start. The mind will go forward. The tranquil peace that you obtained through the question to whom it is occurring is lost. Because we go into a picturization. We are so used to concepts. So we create a concept called, yes, there is a light called I need to focus on the light. Tan oli uru ordal. So which means there is a light called I. You have to focus on the light, is Bhagavan's advice in 16th sloka. But we will start that with some strength of mind. We achieved a mindless state. That is, we went into silence. We created a proper silence by means of the question. Now the focus will have to happen. For the focus to happen, we should have the feeling of I coming from within, without mind. All this happens behind the level of mind, at a transcendent level. But that is not available for us to see. The feeling of I is not rising or not occurring to us for us to focus on it. The reason for that is all the time we have been doing the Shravanam and stopping there, and only when we intuit, when we start doing Manana more and more about the concept, it will internalize. Based on that internalization, only when it is really sunk into the depths of our heart, we will be able to have that eye for introspection. Now, that eye is not coming separately. If at all we try to bring in that eye comes out, but it comes with so many admixtures. It does not come out as a pristine, pure eye for the sake of introspection. So we face a problem. So the problem, the whole thing is attributed to our stopping with Shravanam and not going to the phase of Mananam. And this is exactly what the senior most, or one of the most senior devotees of Bhagavan, Sri Sivaprakasam Pillai, was able to do. This is exactly what he did. He got all the answers from Bhagavan. He studied them well. He took them away to his small village called Idayan Palsuri, about 8 kilometers from Chidambaram. He sat there in silence. He was remunerating the same thing again and again and again and again. He was sort of ruminating, not remunerating, sorry, ruminating the whole thing again and again and again. And he was able to understand the Pampadam far more clearly than others around him. Because of which, and also while doing that Mananam, he was very, very gracious. He has written quite a lot of how he did that Mananam in form of poetries, quite a lot of Tamil poetries. And he's also written one essay in Tamil called Naan Ennum Sollin Nallartham, meaning the import or the meaning of the word or I. So he wrote this small essay. He wrote it in Tamil. Of course, we have the English translation. Now I've just done the English translation a few days ago, and it's just a 1.5 page essay. That's all he wrote. But he's brought out the process of his Mananam very clearly in this small essay. We'll see the gist of that essay, because he's showing us very clearly about how to bring in and how to do the Mananam process. How he did, at least he never advised anyone to do like this or like that. He only said he only recorded what he did. And that such great people, they will never, they know only, apart from Bhagavan, nobody should advise anybody. So they won't advise. They will just write, they will record their process. That's all, for the sake of whoever wants to make good of it. That's all. They will leave it there. So he writes here in this essay, a very small 1.5 page. It comes to 1.5 page, nothing more than that, just 2 page max. And he clearly gives the analysis that he sits and he will repeatedly keep doing this analysis within himself all the time. So Shravanam has to stop at some point. Okay, we have learned Upadesa Saram, we have learned Ullad Narpadu, for example, we have learned Ekatma Panchakam, we have learned Anma Vidya Kirtanam. Enough. Whatever we need to know, we have already known. There is no point in reading more and more and more, because every time there is more and more, what happens is each author is going to give the same thing in a different style, like different language, different method of presentation. That's all. And we are going to be in the same level only. We are in the first step 1, reading all these books. We'll be in step 1 only. There won't be any time. There won't be any opportunity for us to go to step 2, 3, etc. Because we are doing the same process. Like there is a saying in English attributed to a person called Paul J. Mayer, who was founder of a good institute called Leadership Management Institute, where he used to say, you continue to do what you are doing, you will continue to get what you are getting. It's a very powerful statement. Everybody knows this, but only when you coin it in proper words or in proper statements, you can internalize that. Like, for example, he said, if you continue to do what you are doing, you will continue to get what you are getting. So we continue to read books, one book after the other, one book after the other, one book after the other. We continue to listen to one lecture after the other, one lecture after the other, one person's lecture, one Guruji's lecture, another Guru's lecture, another scholar's lecture. We'll be in the same step only, because unless we do something different, we'll not be able to go to the next step. And that difference, as far as Vedantic studies is concerned, there are only 3 steps in Vedanta. Do your Shravanam properly. First, intellectually realize what is going on, what is the theme, what is the fundamental lessons that we need to learn. And number two is Mananam. Do a proper Mananam. Sit back. Okay, now I have studied. I know what is written in this book. Now, let me think within myself. Let me try to internalize it. Let me try to understand in my own sense, in my own way, rather than the author's. It is now in the author's mind or the lecturer's mind. That's why he is able to write a book or he is able to give a lecture. But what use is that to me? I'm only still using my equipment called ear or eye to read or to listen. But it has to sink in. So in order to sink in, we'll have to do the mananam, the next step. Okay, now I'm continuing to do this mananam. Okay, now I'm told I am not this body. Okay, I need to think about what do you mean by I'm not this body. Okay, why is it said I am not the body? That is also said clearly. So try to go over all this very clearly in your own sense, make it internalize the whole thing. Once sufficient amount of mananam is also done, move to the next step called nididhyasana. That nididhyasanam is nothing but putting it into practice. Now, I have studied, I have reflected, I have come to some clarity. Now, what is it said? Just sit in meditation or sit in vichara. Whenever there is a question, whenever there is a thought that is rising, apply the question to whom the thought is rising. And also focus on why. And when the mind goes calm, Bhagavan says, one continuous I am I will rise forth on its own. Hold on to it. This is the step, final step, the nididhyasanam that we need to do. And such nididhyasanam will lead us to samadhi. That this samadhi is not something that we brought forth by means of violent methods like restraining the breath or restraining or doing this sadhana, sitting in hatha yoga postures and other things. No, this has come about naturally because the mind is going to its source. The mind is not rising. This is the ultimate that we can achieve. And by this process of nididhyasana is very opposite to the process of deep sleep, in which state also we get a mindless, we go into mindlessness because we sleep, the mind falls and there is nothing. We are in dark. There is no thought. And we are in pure Satchitananda at that time. But due to our samskaras, we wake up again and come back to normal Jagrat. And all things continue like before. Whereas in nididhyasana, you're aware of what you're doing. You're conscious of what you're doing. So it is not fatigue or tiredness that is bringing about the suspension of mind. Rather, it is the conscious, aware effort that we are putting in to understand the teaching that is bringing about this state of mindlessness. And this is what is nididhyasana, which we need to do. So somebody like Sivaprakasham Pillai did it very rigorously, very methodically, and very calmly he was able to do that. So even if we all have nididhyasana, yes, nididhyasana, whoever posted that is right. Nididhyasana. I will send that. I'll send that separately also at the end of the session. So we need to do all these three slowly. We have to somehow be amidst our busy schedule. We need to allocate some time at least. So what happens is over a period of time, we wouldn't call any time to be a busy time. We won't use the excuse, I'm too busy to read and to do Shravana, I'm too busy to sit and do Manana, I'm too busy for even Shravana and Manana, needless to say about Nididhyasana. So what do? No, what will happen is, if you slowly start it, allocate some little time and start it, then even while you're doing your work, Bhagavan has told this in many places, even while you're doing your routine work, this on the background, the manana will automatically go on. And you will be able to apply the Nididhyasana technique whenever an opportunity is there, or whenever it is needed, it will automatically do. You don't need to. This is internalization. And this is exactly what we are all missing. And the first statement when Bhagavan says, Tannai marandu tanuve tana yenni, forgetting oneself, thinking oneself as the body. Why are we continuing to do again and again the same mistake of I am the body? It is because there is some knot, there is some small issue that we have not sorted out. So we need to take that step, heeding by the advice of Siva Prakasham Pillai. I mean, not advice, as I told, the methods followed by the great people like Siva Prakasham Pillai, and try to adapt that technique. I'll be sharing the small 2-page write-up translation in English translation shortly. I mean, when at the end of the session, we'll have it. Where he starts off by saying, there is an entity called I. Everybody knows there is I. I am there. Everybody, nobody, there is no one that does not know that he is not there. So there is an entity called I, and this I deludes itself by considering itself as the body. That is, it thinks the self is nothing but the body. This I is deluded. Why? Why is it deluding like that? He goes ahead. Now, this is all is taught to us in the first line of Ekatma Panchakam, first sloka. Now he is asking, why is the I getting deluded? Tannai marandu tanuve tana enni, forgetting oneself, thinking oneself as the body. But why is that I forgetting itself and thinking itself as the body? Is the next question he is asking himself. He is beginning the process of retrospection. He is beginning the process of mananam. Now he says it is getting, because it is not getting deluded, because it does not know who its original self is. That is why it is getting deluded that it is the body, because it does not know its own self. Okay, this much is clear. We can appreciate also. Why are you not doing that? I will say, I don't know. I am not doing it. So this is normal to everyone. But only answers will come forth only when we start asking the right questions. Otherwise, on the surface, Vedanta will appear to be very easy, that everybody knows everything. You may come and say, yeah, why do you say all this to me? Don't I know? Yes, you know. You know for sure. But the only problem is you're not able to put it into practice. Intellectually, theoretically, you're able to understand, but you're not, that understanding of yours is not yielding the right result, or the desired value is not derived. Why is that? The step, but he's now going on. He says, okay, fine. The I does not know who itself is. It is thinking itself as the body. But why should it think itself as the body? Why not something else? Why is it thinking? Look at the narrow. Look at how beautifully it's narrowing down the point. Why should it not think whatever, I see a tree opposite? Why is it not seeing the tree as itself? Why is it thinking the body as itself? He is beginning into he's going into the steps of manana. He's refining his questioning. Then he's able to find out, yes, you may say, why not something else? Why the body? That is because from birth till death, excepting for the time of deep sleep, dreamless deep sleep, we are with the body. The I feeling is always merged with the body. All the time, they are inseparable. When the I comes out, let us say you wake up from deep sleep, the I rises, immediately the I am the body rises. This has been happening. There is no beginning, there is no end to it. It's anadi. From infinite past in time, this has been happening. We all know that, we all read that. So this is one reason why the I is considering itself as the body, and not because the I feeling and the body are becoming inseparable, excepting in the time of deep sleep, where the I feeling drops off and the body feeling also goes. But the original I alone shines forth at that time. They are separated. And then, since the I is using various instruments in the body, and it's bearing the weight of the body, the pain of the body, the sorrow of the body, the pleasures of the body, everything is happening in the body. A pleasure is happening in the body when I eat my favorite food, and the pleasure is being taken by my tongue. It passes on to the mind, everything. But it's ultimately the I, the ego, that is the master of all these pleasures. It is using the instruments of the body, the I, and again, we're not talking about the Satchitananda I here. We are talking about the I that is rising, the rising I, the ego. It uses all the faculties of the body, and it bears the the weight of the body. It feels I'm very heavy, I should lose weight. And then it feels I'm very, very tired, I should take rest. It says I'm very happy, I'm enjoying. All the faculties it is using, the eye. So the proc and where is all this? This is all subtle body. The all the sensations, the indriyas, they are all subtle. So the eye is you making use of the body every to the last inch. It is making use of the body. So the eye thinks it is body. So it's got such a inseparable relationship with the body. And by using all organs of knowledge, jnanendriyas, the body knows outside objects, external objects. Oh, okay, now I take a big telescope and point to the sky and see the planet called Neptune. I'm able to focus on it and I'm able to see all that. So who is using all these instruments? It is only the eye. It is only the ego that is using all this. So once again, it is very, 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 very tightly packed, so to speak, with the body, tightly bound with the body. And it is only this I that makes sankalpa. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. All this is happening at the level of I. At the time, it uses the Vijnanamaya kosa of our body. What that is also body. As we saw, there are 3 bodies or 5 sheets. The intellect resides in the Vijnanamaya kosa of a part of the subtle body. So the I uses that Vijnanamaya kosa, and it says I need volitions, sankalpa are getting formed. I need to do this, I must do it, I should not be lazy, I should do this or I should not do it. All such volition takes place. So the eye is again very close to the body. It is close to all the sheets of the body. This eye is using all the sheets of the body without exception till the last inch, as I told. So it is getting deluded that it is a body, and with the help of the brain, it forms subtle impressions. Like for example, I am sitting here using my brain, using the remembrance power of which is there within myself, and I recall past incidents, sitting in one place, form mental images. How is happening? Because the eye is behind all this and driving. It is only the eye. So eye is once again another example of why eye and body are so. Why eye thinks that body is itself, not anything else. Leave out the original self. The original self it does not know because it has not understood that it is Satchidananda yet, not yet. But it is considering itself as the body as against so many other things because we are of the above mentioned reasons. So it uses the brain and it forms subtle images. It creates its own images. We are able to recollect like whatever happened in childhood, and we are able to vividly bring it in front of our mental eyes. We are able to vividly see, I was in the river swimming, doing all this, and it's not just a word. We are able to create a mental picture. Again, all this is using, the eye is using the various faculties or the various sources available in the body to do all these activities. And this, because of all this is only, as we saw, sankalpas or volitions are formed. And this is why the feeling called I is deluding itself as the body. Okay, now he started off by accepting Bhagavan's statement called you are that, and he wanted to understand a little bit of you, and he understands this you, that is I, from our point of view. This I is thinking itself as the body, and he asked a question, why is this I thinking itself as the body as against so many other things? And then the answer came to him, because of its close association with the body in all these forms. It is making use of the gross body, that is the Annamaya kosa. It is making use of the subtle body, that is the Manomaya kosa and the Vijnanamaya kosa. It is making use of the causal body too, even though we don't know how it uses the causal body, because at that time, everything is happening in the darkness of the sleep, deep sleep, and the mind also falls. So it is so closely tied with the body. And so it thinks itself as the body. It is also seen that even we say we are doing this because we are so closely attached to the body, but we also know that even a 1-year-old infant considers the body as I. Even that baby thinks I am the body. Because all its activity, even its involuntary activity, you see, it is all revolving around body oriented. If anything happens to any even a small thing next outside the boundaries of its body, it is not bothered. But the moment something happens to its body, it reacts. So it means, with the knowingly or not, this infant also considers body as the boundary. If asked why, the only answer that can be given based on our core foundations in Vedanta is that because it has been associated with so many bodies in so many lives before, thousands of lives. So, and we also know that the mind transmigrates. It takes a fresh body. So it's got all those vasanas in form of bija, in form of seed. And so, without its knowledge, it is doing all this. The moment a newborn baby, when the breast of the mother is given to it, without has anybody taught it, it just suckles. It is able to do its job. How is it possible? It is possible because it has got some memories in bija form. It knows what to do because the conditioning has transmigrated and it has come to this life. So it is able to do all the things. I consider body as itself. Even a 1-year-old infant is able to do that only. There is no time. If asked when, then he goes about asking, when did the association of I and the body take place? At what point in time did they get associated? He goes on, he thinks, reads something and concludes based on the teachings of the scripture that it is anadi. No, it happened in an infinite past. Only if it is a finite term, I can say it happened 100 years ago, it happened 200 years ago. No, it is infinite, so nobody is clever enough to say when it happened. It happened, that's all. Because it happened in the infinite past, it is anadi. The term anadi means there is no adi for it. Adi is adi moolam, the first starting, beginning, ancient. This is anadi. There is no beginning at all for it. So he is able to conclude that it is anadi also. And then he comes back to the other side of the coin and he asks one other question. What is the proof that there is some feeling, that there is something called I other than the body? He is coming to the corollary, so to speak. I mean, so far he was doing an analysis from a forward side. Now he's coming reverse of the problem, and he is asking the same question with different mental mode. He's asking, what is the proof that there is an I? Why can't you assume that the body does all this and goes and other things? Everything is built in the body. Like a lot of scientists today, that is exactly how they do science today. They do science thinking that everything is contained within the body and that is all, that is nothing. And then there are external objects, there are planets, there are particles, there are so many other things. And they go about with their examination of them. But Vedanta clearly says it is I, which is separate from the body, called you. So he asks the question, what is the proof that there is something called I other than the body? A body, yes, I know for sure because I'm seeing the body. I'm feeling the body. But the answer is contained right in the statement that I said now. Or we always say, I am seeing the body, I am feeling the body. That itself is an example enough or proof enough to say that there is somebody who is feeling the body. Right? So it is in everybody's experience that the entity called I gains experience of the body and the world. You say, I see the world, I see the picture clearly. So that itself is good enough proof to understand that there is an entity called I other than the body. So, and because this entity called I knows, it is sentient, it is chit, it is conscious. It is not the original consciousness, it is chidabhasa as we call it. Abhasa of the chita, of the chit, of the original chit. That is reflection. It is only a reflected consciousness. So it has got some sentient feeling, yes, but it is not completely sentient because it has got The feeling of insentience also, it takes that insentience feeling from the body, from whatever is jada outside. So it is got sent, but this I that we are talking about, in comparison to a complete jada, is definitely sentient. This I knows. The moment it is able to understand something, it is not jada anymore, it is sentient. It is categorized as sentient. So this I is sentient. That is why it is able to say, I am able to see the body, I am able to see the world, I am, I am, I am. This body is jada because this body, without the feeling of I, just like lies down like a log. Like in deep sleep, the body, let us assume, is lying in the bed. There is no feeling of I. At that time, it is just like a log. It does not on its own accord know the world when the I is not there. So this is proof one to say that there exists an entity called I other than the body. And then he intuits the deep sleep. Yes, as we talked, in deep sleep, the world and body do not appear. But in Jagrat and Swapna, that is in wakeful state and in dream state, the body and the world appear sometimes and disappear sometimes. Meaning, it disappears in sleep, it appears in Jagrat and Swapna. So, the body is violating the nature of, it is not, it is impermanent. This much we can understand. It is impermanent. But the original I is permanent because that is the one that is there in all the three states, and we are able to, only because it is there during the deep dreamless sleep also, we are able to say that yes, after waking up, in retrospection, we are able to say, yes, I had a good sleep, which means I was there and I did not see anything. There has to be someone to either see something or not to see something. Not to see something in the sense to recollect that there was nothing. Because I did not, I was there, I was in a place, I was standing on top of a hill, I saw, I did not see anything, I come down and say I did not see anything. It was because I was on top of the hill, I was seeing, I came down, I recollect and say I did not see anything. But there was that I to record either seeing or did not see, or to say did not see. And this I is now vouchsafing I did not see anything in deep sleep. So the continuity is established. So in all sense, we are able to conclude that there is a feeling called I outside this body. Now he asks, okay, fine, where did this body go in the deep sleep? Where did it disappear in deep sleep? Shastra says it is very difficult to answer this question. It is a question, only an academic question. Shastra says it sinks into yourself, or it sinks into avidya, it sinks into maya, and maya is inscrutable. Because of that, you won't be able to interfere with maya. You will not be able to do any kind of introspection on maya, because maya is anirvachaniya. It cannot be described as this or that or that. It is a Shakti that is there within the self, within the pristine, pure Sachitananda, which comes out on its own, seemingly, not truly, and it appears and it projects all this body, it projects all this world, everything takes place because of the availability of this Maya. So he concludes that this answer is enough for this question as to where did it go in sleep? I don't know. I can't say, I can't be meaningful about it because my mind is not able to understand where it went. And now I'm using the mind to answer this question. So I might as well go with what the scripture says, and the scripture says it is sinking in Maya or Avidya. Let me stop it there, he thinks. And then, so it is very, very clear from the above facts that the one sentient I entity comprehends the various insentient body, world in dream and wakeful states, and completely is not aware of them in the deep sleep state, where the pseudo I or the ego submerges. And these are the points, proof. These are proof enough to understand that I am not the body. The I entity exists apart from the body. Now, when I sit in my inquiry, this I that is appearing and doing all this, understanding the world, understanding the body. Now this I is available for me to focus on. I will be able to clearly question the existence of this I. We are now coming close to our sadhana, the culmination of sadhana, in the sense that at least the beginning of the end, I can say. So we are able to segregate the I so beautifully now, and the I is now available for us to watch over and see if it exists. Finally, we'll understand this I is nothing, it is only a rising ego. The moment, as we told, this I is a phantom, it can grow only grasping some stick, or so to speak, or some construction, or something has to be there. The construction and stick equivalent is thoughts. Now we are depriving the I of thoughts. When we deprive the I of thoughts, it does not have anything to hold on, so it will fall flat. And where does it fall flat other than Satchitananda, your own self? Because it is issuing forth from there. It is falling, it is merging. All these words we can use. It is falling on Satchitananda, it is merging with Satchitananda, it will become one with Satchitananda. All this for understanding sake, we are saying that. So he finally asks one question: how can the delusion I am the body be removed? Tannai marandu tanuve tana enni. Forgetting oneself, thinking oneself of the body. Now, how to get rid of this thinking? It is happening so automatically. How do I get rid of it? He says, the only way to eradicate the delusion I am the body is by inquiry, who am I? Or to know the nature of the real self by the question, with the help of the question, who am I? So he is the one who put the question, who am I, to Bhagavan, and obtained all the answers from Bhagavan. And now he feels he's not even fit yet to ask the question, who am I? Because the question, who am I, needs the rise, needs the focus to be shifted on the rising I. வெளி விஷயங்களை விட்டு மனம் தன் ஒளி உரு ஓர்தலே உந்தி பெற. Leaving out external objects, yes, I'm doing that, but where is the internal oli or light for me to focus on? I'm not finding it. So if we try to find out that using that mind will concoct so many things, as we saw in the last session also. It will create a small jyoti happening from inside this body, and it will travel, it will create, the imagination becomes endless. That will go and merge in one point. All this mind will keep on doing, but absolutely no use. It is giving no answer, no satisfaction. And we are the same. We'll continue to be the same person. So now, with the help of this introspection, with the help of this mananam, somebody like Sivaprakasham Pillai was able to intuit, yes, there is an entity called I apart from the body, and it is not the body, but it deludes itself thinking it is the body for the above mentioned reason. And now let me focus on this I, leaving out the externalities. This is manana. This is the way Sivaprakasham Pillai did mananam, and rigorous mananam. He was able to do it forever. He dedicated his lifetime. He was in a good position as a revenue officer in those British time at the time, and in 1902 up to 1910 or something, I think he worked, and after that he resigned. And he said, my life is dedicated only for introspection, for vichara, and he was able to dedicate the full time. Whether or not all of us are able to do such a thing is immaterial. But the spirit of how he did is what matters. We need to be benefiting out of all the things he has already done and graciously recorded in form of a very small essay. The essay is over as of now. I've finished the entire essay, explaining the entire essay. So he did, and he recorded the whole thing in a small write-up called Nan Ennum Sollin Nallartham, the meaning or the import of the entity called I. Now, with this kind of a background, we'll be able to do our vichara far more better. This is mananam. So we have to somehow slowly start, apart from doing all the readings, listening, everything, get into the process of introspection. Sit calmly and question and understand all these things. Everything is available to us. Everything is clear. Even all this, whatever so Prakasham Pillai has said in this essay, Bhagavan has said in many places. You read talks, you will find in lot of places, but in talks it will be scattered. It won't be very because that's a more of a chronicle where each day somebody will come and ask, and day wise it is recorded. So it is not subject wise. So here he is given it very terse in a very terse fashion. And Muruganar in a lot of his work has also given the same things in Guru Acharya Kovai, everything, subject-wise, everything has been organized. And in Bhagavan's Maharishi Gospel, if you read, all these points are clearly provided to us. Maharishi Gospel is a book that every one of us should read, written by, compiled on the basis of the teachings of Bhagavan. It's a very it's a book that gives a lot of core teachings of Bhagavan, and people like Sadhu Om, people like Michael James, they've all written quite a bit, and we should get the substance and sit back and think for our own. Just this reading is not going to segregate that I and the body or make that I available for introspection unless we do our own manana in a clear way. Once we are strong in this manana, our enthusiasm to follow the nididhyasana will immediately come forth, and we will sit in the inquiry, who am I? Because at the end of this essay is when Svaprakasham Pillai asks, so how do I do all this? How do I know that I am not the body? How do I have the plenary experience I am not the body? Only by the question, who am I? So we all try to start with this question, who am I? A lot of people who have learned who am I, who have heard about this. This is why in the first song of Ekatma Panchakam, or in the second song, Bhagavan himself ridicules people who don't use the who am I properly, like he said, Tan irundum tanaga tannaitan yanevan. Like, despite being oneself all the time, asking who am I, where am I, and he compares them with a drunkard person who is prattling that in the state of his drunkenness, asking who am I, where am I, without knowing all this. So that is equivalent. Like people without knowing, before getting the yogyata to really do who am I, jumping in and asking who am I, who am I, who am I. This is what will happen. Waiting for an answer for who am I? No, all this is not. This is the excellent mananam done by the great Svaprakasham Pillai, and he's given it in form of essay, which I will just circulate it now shortly. And it's just 2 pages, and it's a must read, and not just a must read, you have to internalize how the way he's doing manana, so that we'll be able to sit and have a proper vichara taking place. This is one of the answers that I had to give to the small question raised by Jagdish Karu in a WhatsApp message on behalf of somebody known to him, about after sitting in the meditation hall, if I put the question to whom it is appearing, I'm deriving silence. That itself is a great achievement. I don't know who that person is. By asking the question whom, he is able to feel the quiescence of mind or the quietness of mind. That itself is a fantastic achievement. I must really concede here. All of us struggle for that. And so at this time, before doing, he should start, apart from this sitting in meditation hall and inquiry, he should slowly, not spend too much time, understand such the process of mananam. And the next time when he goes and sits in meditation hall and asks to whom it is occurring, it will say, to me it is occurring, who am I? The mind will go quiet, but the I feeling will be available for introspection. It will be there to ask, to put the question on, and to watch over. So this process of mananam is very, very important. And the third sloka will go now. I had to, I could have finished all the 3 slokas, the remaining 3 slokas by now, but there is no use in just for the sake of reading the sloka, knowing the meaning, going to the next work, taking Atma Vidya Kirtana, reading the slokas, knowing the meaning, that we can keep doing. There's no end to it. But even if we read one sloka, we should be able to, because every sloka is actually full of wisdom. There's nothing other than pure wisdom, unadulterated wisdom. So what is the use in keep on studying them without really doing what? Okay, now that I have studied, what do I do? What is the benefit I derive from it, or why it is written for me? Why has it come to my hand? Why am I reading all this? If you are reading it for time pass or to gain some theoretical knowledge and go to somebody and challenge somebody in discussion, all that you can do. But if you're sincere in Bhagavan's teaching, in putting Bhagavan's teaching to practice, it is mandatory that every single word that we read written by Bhagavan should be internalized, and we should follow it rather than just wasting our time on just sheer reading. That's why I wanted to take this time, set up the base for why we are doing all this. And then now I'll start the third sloka of Ekatma Panchakam. Tannul tanu irukkattana jada udalam தன்னுள் இருப்பதாய் தான் உண்ணும் அன்னவன் சித்திரத்தின் உளத சித்திரத்திற்கு ஆதார வஸ்திரம் என்று எண்ணுவான் போல்வான். Now, that is a sloka. The meaning of that is தன்னுள் தனு இருக்க. Tanu means, as we have seen, body. Tannul means within you. All of us think that we are in the body. The truth is, the body is in us. Now, with all the background, we should be able to immediately say why this error is taking place. Why do we think we are in this body? Because we think we are the body. Because we are considering ourselves of the body, we think the feeling of I germinates inside the body. It is there in the body. But once we know we are not the body, we are the Satchit, we know everything is contained in the infinite expanse of Satchitananda. So this body is and that is me, and hence the body is in me. But I am thinking I am inside the body. Fundamental errors are being very beautifully highlighted in these slokas. Tannul tanu irukka, even though the body is in me, tana jada udal, thinking that I am inside the jada body, in that body, insentient body. I am inside that, thinking like that. Why do we think like that? Or who is the one who is thinking? What is the analogy? The one who thinks is equivalent to somebody, some naive person who sees a movie picture, let us say, and a big screen is there, and the movie is projected in that picture. The movie is projected in that screen. He sees all the pictures, he sees the various sceneries happening and other things. But he, being so naive, thinks that the screen on which it is projected is also part of the picture, is also part of that movie. He feels once the movie is over, everything, like how the images disappear, the screen will also disappear, because according to him, the screen, the adhisthana, is also in the picture. And this is how this is equivalent to somebody who thinks that he is inside the body when the body is inside him. The body is there in the infinite expanse of Satchitananda. So this is the equation. For like in the first sloka, Bhagavan gave the example of a dreamer dreaming of various dream contents. It is like somebody forgetting the self and taking janmas after janma after janma and coming. And in the second one, he gave the example of a drunkard person who was in a state of drunkenness. What he did, he sort of was prattling, who am I, where am I, and all those things. That is in the second one. And the third one, he gives the small example of a movie picture, saying that somebody who it is equivalent, like thinking that I am inside the body rather than intuiting that the body is in me, is equivalent to somebody thinking that the screen or the base on which the images or the movie is projected is part of that movie itself, is within that movie itself. How foolish it is. we are able to immediately say this is foolish. And Bhagavan similarly points out it is equally foolish to think that you are inside the body when the body is contained in you. This is the essence of the third sloka. So it is like we have seen previously also, like why all this is happening, because like there is there are many pots, let us say, filled with water. There are hundreds of pots filled with water, and there is one sun shining above, and each pot now has one sun. So does it mean that there are hundred suns? Similarly, there is one Satchitananda, the unending expanse, and there are millions of bodies, and there is reflection of the Satchitananda in each and every body. So does that mean there are millions of Satchitananda or something like that? Multiplicity never occurred. It is because we are narrowing ourselves to the confines of the body, just like how this fool thinking that each pot has its own sun. There are millions of suns. That is equivalent to that. And this is the analogy, one more analogy that we can take in saying that தன்னுள் தனு இருக்க தான ஜட உடலம் தன்னுள் இருப்பதாய் தான் ஒண்ணும். Thinking that I am inside this body instead of understanding the truth that the body is in me. So this is another example, like how this pot example makes it more clear also. We all know for sure there is only one body. Similarly, there is one Satchitananda, that is you, and due to the rising of this I, a spark, just like there is a big jyoti, let us say, there is a big fire, and from fire we have seen sparks coming out. Small individual sparks going out and die. It'll just go out, it'll fly for some distance and die. This is one, not exactly, let us say, this is an example of how we think that a jiva has come out. This Paramatma, this never-ending, this unending Jyoti that we are considering, the Satchitananda, is nothing but the Paramatma. From the Paramatma, a Jivatma in form of a spark just flies out. And when it flies out, it thinks it's totally independent. The whole universe is only the size of that spark. And that spark dies. This is how body emanates. Another body comes, and millions of body comes. And each body is seen as separate from another body. Each spark, just like how each spark is seen as different from the next spark. Another example to understand the concept that everything is only that one Paramatma, Satchitananda, the one unexpanding, unlimited entity, sentient entity, because we also saw the Sat is also Chit. Sat and Chit are never different, they are the same. The Sat knows its own existence because it is also the Chit. They are one. That is what Advaitam means. There is only one. So the Sat and Chit, they are all considered as nature of the being, not an attribute of the being. They are nature. So this being the case, we go about and thinking that we are inside the body, which is false. So this is another sloka which is available for us to sit back and introspect and understand the input and apply all the techniques. I mean, apply the techniques of Mananam as taught by Sivaprakasham. There are many other ways of Mananam, but this is a very, very simple form of Mananam that was done by Sivaprakasham Pillai and given to us in form of an essay for us to read and practice. So it is a question of not just reading and leave it there, just allowing it to internalize, or allowing the thought, staying on the thought till we are satisfied that yes, this is how it is. So this Mananam becomes an extremely important part of our sadhana. We will do that. Just words alone will not take you to the ultimate. They are the most important building blocks. But this block is also needed because we need to progress, as we saw earlier. If you continue to do what you are doing, you will continue to get what you are getting. you won't go to the next level. If you are desirous about going to the next level, you have to do something different. Like every day morning, I get up and do the same thing. The result of the same thing is going to be the same thing. That's not going to be a change. But whereas if I want completely, like I wake up in the morning, I say to myself, I want a very well-toned body. I'll just wake up in the morning, drink my coffee, read my newspaper, do this work, go to work, come back. But I want a muscular body or toned body. Unless I do a small change called I need to do some exercises, I need to do some walking, running, whatever. So similarly, I'll keep on reading every day. Yes, intellectually you'll become stout, no doubt. But that won't take you to the experience unless you stop. That is why Bhagavan also has told in few places that you have to unlearn everything that you have learned in the end. Whatever you have learned, including all the Shastras, you have to totally unlearn all of them. And he used to advise doing this Giri Pradakshanam around Arunachala is one of the best tools that we have to get into the process of unlearning, because it does a great amount of cleansing. It is like winding. We are so much, we are wound so much with ourselves with so much of wire. So just to understand, just as an example, going around is unwinding. Whatever we are tightly tied ourselves, tied so much of rope and wire around us, this Giri Pradakshina will act as a opposite mechanism and untie all of them, remove them from ourselves. So Giri Pradakshina was advised by Bhagavan as one of the benefits of Giri Pradakshina is to help us in the process of unlearning. And unlearning, according to Bhagavan, is extremely needed. You will have to forget all what you have learned at some point in time, he used to say. But you have to learn, and then automatically the unlearning will take place when we are ready for it. These are aids. Giri Pradakshina is definitely an aid as recommended by Bhagavan. So only when we learn, we know. Similarly, only when we read, we know. We have to read initially. We have to intellectually, without intellectually knowing something, how to do introspection, how to do mananam. So Shravanam is important. But Shravanam alone cannot be our life. Read well. And once you feel you have enough to think about, stop reading there. Go to the process, sit alone, start your process of mananam, do introspection. Okay. With that background, we'll again go to the fourth sloka. So the third sloka, just to read it again. Tannul tanuirukka thana. You can say it that way. I mean, somebody posted the question: is eating Shravanam and digesting Mananam? Yes, you can. I don't know. Before I could see that it disappeared from my screen, but yes, I could say yes. You can equate it that way. Digesting has to take place, right? Rather, just eating and having everything in one place, digestion has to happen. It's a very a crude analogy, but it is useful in its own way, because we are applying some day-to-day practical example. So reading is Shravanam, yes, and thinking about what we have read is Mananam. Reading alone is enough for us to secure marks. If we can go to an exam, whatever is there in mind, in memory, we can commit it to memory and do it. But let us say the examiner is clever enough and changes the question a little bit. A tricky question comes in. Or in place of a theorem, he gives us a rider. So when such a rider comes in, we need to be able to think about the theorem properly and apply what we have learned in the theorem in the rider, and then solve the geometrical problem. Similarly, these are all the needs. Yes, the analogy of eating. While after eating, we need to digest, and the third part of it, maybe I'll be able to see it after it's gone out from my screen, so I'm not able to see that. But yes, to answer. So, தன்னுள் தனு இருக்கத்தான ஜட உடலம் தன்னுள் இருப்பதாய் தான் உண்ணும் அன்னவன் சித்திரத்தின் உள்வுலக சித்திரத்திற்காதார வஸ்திரம் என்றெண்ணுவான் போல்வான். Now, We'll go to the fourth song. That is the third song. We'll go to the fourth one. Like we always saw in the last time, there is this Kali Venpa part, the last word in the fourth line, and that word is Vastuvam. Vastuvam is the word. Vastuvam பொன்னுக்கு வேறாக பூஷணம் உள்ளதோ தன்னை விடுத்து தனு ஏது தன்னை தனு என்பான் அஞ்ஞானி தானாக கொள்வான் தனையறிந்த ஞானி தரிப்பாய். This is the sloka. Vastuvam, that is a vastu. Vastu is an entity or a being, we can say, in this for this sloka's sake. So the vastu called பொன்னுக்கு வேறாக, pon means gold. Okay, there is this entity called gold. In this song, he is bringing the analogy first and then going to the main point. In the first three slokas, he had the main point and then came to the analogy in the last two lines. Here he starts with the analogy. Like, am I audible? Am I back in? There was an interruption in my internet. Some call came in. So, am I audible? Can somebody raise a hand and say I'm audible or something?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Fine. Thank you. So, Vastuvam பொன்னுக்கு வேறாக பூஷணம் உள்ளதோ, meaning other than gold, are ornaments separately available for us? Ornaments made out of gold is a question. Gold is the base for all the ornaments that we make. So, there are people in their naivety may think, oh, this is ornament, this is not gold, this is bangle. Is bangle any time or in any way different from gold? Next, he goes on to ask, Tannai viduthu tanu edu? Without me, where is the body? Tannai, tan means I. Tanu means body. We have been saying it quite a bit. Tannai viduthu, other than me, where is the body? So, Tannai tanu enban ajnani. An ajnani will say, I am the body. An ajnani will say, who are you? I am the body. He will say. Tanaga kolvan. Tanai arinda jnani. The jnani will think himself to be the ever-ending Sachitananda. So, that is what understand. He said in the very part means no, bear this in mind. So, just like how there is the aspects of Sachitananda, there are 5 aspects of Sachitananda, let's say. Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, Rupa. Sat is being, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss, Nama is name, Rupa is form. So it's always called Satchitananda Nama Rupa. Of this, Satchit Ananda are real, Nama Rupa are false. So, when we consider the gold, Sat, gold is the Sat, and our knowledge of gold is Chit, and Ananda, leave it, Ananda is rolled out. Once there is Sat, being alone, and once there is consciousness of the being, Ananda is inevitable in Advitiyam because there is no second. When there is no second, there is no fear, and where there is no fear, there is Ananda. So Ananda is there. Nama Rupa, and we call it as a bangle or a stud or a whatever. And Rupa, it has got such and such shape. A bangle has a spherical shape or whatever we call it. So, out of this Nama Rupa are vikaras. I can make either a bangle out of, I call it a bangle and make give it a shape out of gold. I can next time destroy it totally and make a earring out of the same gold. So, the Satchit Ananda aspect is true. This Nama Rupa of ornaments are just vikaras. Vikaras means they are just shapes or just modifications. So, from this analogy, what we learned, the truth is Satchitananda, which is gold, and the false is Nama Rupa, which is the effect that is coming out of the original cause, which is gold. The or not. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is said that there is only one Sat in the beginning, and everything seemingly came forth from the Sat. Like, for example, even in this case, this gold that we have, this gold, a mass of gold, a lump of gold, whatever, is Satchitananda. It's Satchit, it is existing, it is the truth. Now again, in Vyavahara sense, not in the ultimate sense, Sat is Sat. Not, this is again false, this gold is, but for the sake of example. And this Chandogya says, anything that comes out of this cause is Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam. It says, it's only for the sake of words. Vacharambanam. It's only for vak, it's only for words that it is said. It's a vikara, vikaro, namadeyam. It's getting name. It is giving a name. So there is only one cause. From that cause, let's say the lump of clay, from the clay you make pots, you make pictures, you make so many other jugs, jars, whatever. These are all effects. And these effects are always there in the cause. They are in potent form. You make it into a pot, then it becomes a pot. But then the pot is non-different from the cause, which is the clay. Similarly, we see all these Jagat, this world, Jaga, Jiva, Para, this world, the gods in the world, the Jivas in the world, all these are totally Vacharambanam Vikaro. They are just for the sake of name, Namadeyam. They are non-different from Satchitananda Brahman. Similarly, that is exactly the example says. So, Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam means all the effects are false. They are just for the sake of name and form. Other than name and form, they have no reality. The reality is what is preceding to it. And this is a method of taught in a lot of Upanishads, including Chandogya Upanishad. It's called Adhyaropa Apavada. First, there is the Satchitananda Brahman, the Satchitananda from the Satchitananda Brahman due to Maya, as an entity called fire came about. From that entity called fire, Taittiriya Upanishad will give 5 principles from which all these came about. Chandogya Upanishad gives 3: fire, water, and earth. From this itself, we have to understand that all these are Nitya, and the Upanishad is inconsistent. In one Upanishad, so many number of entities are given. The next Upanishad, why? And Bhagavan asked to Bhagavan, why Bhagavan? There is so much of inconsistency between each Upanishad. He says, that is because the Upanishad does not even bother about that. It is given you all this for you to learn only. It is not the truth. So, but you see, you take the nature of Satchitananda, all the Upanishads will be 100% to the hilt, they will be consistent. The reason for that is the prime purpose of teaching. One Upanishad, like Taittiriya Upanishad, will say, there is Akasha, Vayu, Vayoragni, Rapnerapaha, Abhya Prithvi, Prithivya Moshadaya, Oshadibo, Annam. So, it gives 5 entities. Whereas in Chandogya, it starts with, there are 3 things. So, the first thing it says is, from the Satchitananda Parabrahman, fire came about due to Maya. Again, these are all Mayic creation, not real creation. And that from that fire, water came about. It is said, whenever there is heat, water will get produced. And the example given from whenever we are running very high temperature, we perspire. Whenever we become hot in the body, perspiration takes place, which is nothing but water. These are just examples. Let's not try to equate science, because we know in practical life we are observing, we are just talking about it. A scientist may come and counter what I said using a totally different perspective for all this. But this example is given in Chandogya Upanishad. Because there is heat, when there is heat, water will get produced. And when water is produced, there is another word that is used in Chandogya Upanishad for earth. It is also called food. Earth is nothing but food, because food grows from earth. And so, earth is nothing but food. And where there is plenty of water, food will come about. That is, earth will flourish, in which food will grow. And they go on from this, from eating from this earth, so many floods take place, some germs gets created. From the germ, so many urpatis take place and other things. And this is how a jivatma is produced. So this is how a body is produced ultimately. This earth, there is evaporation of this water. It goes forth above, and it comes back. It becomes semen in a man's body, and the reproduction takes place. And all these things is given very elaborately, only for the sake of doing an apavada, adhyaropa. Adhyaropa is superposition. They'll keep on doing, superimpose this on that. They'll go finally. At one stage, the guru will understand. Yes, now I have to do the backward journey. I have to do the descending. Apavada. So he will start going. Okay, now you have this pot. What is, from where did this pot come from? From clay. From where did this clay come from? Decompose. All the Panchabhutas will come. From where did all these come? Ultimately, it will come from one of the Bhutas. Panchabhutas or Tribhutas in this case. From either water or fire or earth. If it comes from earth, where did earth come from? From water. From where did water come from? From fire. Where did fire come from? From Satchitananda. So everything is ultimately taken back. This is Apavada. They will do the step of Adhyaropa and do the Apavada and take you back to the cause. This is a method, classical method of Upanishads. They use a lot of such Adhyaropa, Apavada methods to teach the truth. That is why it was said in Chandogya Upanishad chapter 6, Uddalaka says to his son Svetaketu, there is no one in our learned family that does not know Brahman. And knowing one thing, you will know everything else. What is that one thing? You have to learn about that one thing. And what is that one thing? Brahman. He will teach it. It's Brahman. Because then he will do the Adhyaropa, Apavada and all that and teach him. That's like, see how from Parambrahman, all these issued forth, all this, we came to Jiva, man, his own world. Then you go back. You will have to trace it back to Satchitananda, Parambrahman. This is a method used in Upanishads. Now, in our current sloka, it is asked, Tannai tanu enban ajnani. An ajnani will say, he is body. A jnani will always say, Tannai tanaga kolva. That is, a jnani will always know him as I am I. If anybody asks you meaningfully, you cannot say in any words other than I am I. This I am I is the only answer that you can give. I am this, we are lost in the world of duality. You're gone. I am this, I am that. I am I. So, a jnani will always be in the state of I am I. An ajnani will be in the state of I am this body. Which is equivalent to this, he gave the analogy of gold and ornaments coming out of gold. The I am is there, from that I am all these creation comes place. The gold is there from which all these ornaments come out. But we all know that gold is the only thing. Similarly, we all should know that this I am is the only thing and not these vikaras it is undergone. Mayik, because of Maya. They are not true again. Because of Maya, all this is taken place. This is Vivarta Siddhanta. We know that it is not true. This is what Bhagavan used. This is a technique Bhagavan used to teach us. This Vivarta is what he always uses to teach people like us. On his own right, as we have seen plenty of time, he is Ajata. There is Satchitanandam. Nothing has moved out of it. Nothing ever happened. There was no Maya, nothing. Nothing has taken place. That is his level. So, Vastuvam Udnukku Veraga Bhushanam Ullado Tannai Viduttu Tanu Edu Tannai Tanu Enban Ajnani Tanaga Kolvan Tanayarinda Jnani Taripai. On the last word, as we see, Kali Venpa, Tanadoliyal Yappodum Ulladau Ekatma Vastuve Appodau Vastuvai Adi Guru Cheppade Cheppitteriyuma Seidanarelyavar செப்பித் தெரிவிப்பச் செப்புகென. ஸ்லோகா. எப்போதும் உள்ளது ஏகாத்ம வஸ்துவே. Always there is only this one vastu, this ekatma vastu, and that vastu, there is only one. This Satchitananda is always there. That vastu, the nature of the Satchitananda, was explained to his disciples by Adi Guru Dakshinamurti in silence. Cheppadu Cheppina, meaning without talking he talked, figuratively speaking. Without cheppadu cheppal, that is explaining without speaking. So that is how the Adi Guru, if the Adi Guru did it like that, செப்பித் தெரியுமா செய்தனரேல் எவர், செப்பித் தெரிவிப்பர் செப்புகென, means when the Adi Guru himself taught it like this, that is within silence, is there anyone that is capable of explaining all these things with verbs, with using all these words? No, it is not possible. It is not possible to explain. That is why Adi Guru himself taught it in silence. And we saw the example of how Bhagavan, during one of the Sivaratri nights, stayed in silence and brought about peace to all the people around him. That which always exists and shines by its own light is the one reality or vastu, that oneself. When at that time in ancient days, the Adi Guru, Dakshinamurti, the primal Guru, revealed the reality without saying, that is by teaching only through silence. Say, who can reveal it by words? Who can reveal it by silence? This is the final sloka Bhagavan asks. So silence is the ultimate teacher of that vastu called Satchitanandam. Words cannot, because words will fail. Words will make you understand and bring you to one certain level, to extent that it has done in the first 4 slokas. Now in the 5th sloka, he says, when the Adi Guru himself taught in silence, who else can teach it in words? It's not possible. It may appear it is possible. You can give the foundations using words. That is done. So that is why Bhagavan says, again we come back to the same crux. Read to the extent needed. Listen to the extent needed. Stop all this verbalization at some point when you have had enough of material or enough of content to chew on, and then go and sit and start doing the chewing part. Digest it. Just like how the cows, they take quite a bit of grass and then they bring it back when are in a leisure place, and then they keep on chewing. As I think Venugopalji put it some time ago. Yes, we have eaten. Now we need to sit back and digest. We have done the Shravanam. We do the Manana. And Adi Guru Dakshinamurti himself did it in silence. He cannot forever be going after books, doing this, reading this. Silence is needed. Silence is the highest teaching that has been given by Dakshinamurti, by our own Dakshinamurti, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. This is the 5th slokam of Ekatma Panchakam. This Ekatma slokam is Ekatma Panchakam is completed. Then Muruganar writes one last sloka. இப்போதவு ஏகாத்ம உண்மை இணைத்தென தேற்றி அன்பர் தேகாத்ம பாவம் சிதைவித்தான் ஏகான்ம ஞானஸ்வரூபமாம் நண்ணும் குரு ரமணன் தானவென்ற இப்பாவில் தான். Now, இப்போதவு, now, the saying thus, Guru Ramana, who abides as the form of one's self-knowledge, Ekatma Jnana Swarupam. That is how Guru Ramana always shines. Has destroyed the feeling of I am the body. Has destroyed the feeling of I am the body. Deganma Bhavam Sidai Vittan. Sidai Vittan means destroyed. Degatma Bhava has been destroyed by our Guru Ramana of his devotees by making clear in these verses, that is in the 5 verses before. That is what he sang. The truth of oneness of self. Truth of oneness of self is such. Is the conclusion. And Muruganar wrote this final explaining the nature of Ekatma Panchaka and the purpose for which it is written and how Guru Ramana gave it to us. இப்போதவு ஏகாத்ம உண்மை இணைத்தென தேற்றி அன்பர் தேகாத்ம பாவம் சிதைவித்தான் ஏகான்ம ஞானஸ்வரூபமா நண்ணும் குரு ரமணன் தான் நவின்ற இப்பாவில் தான் அருணாச்சலம் 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 ஓ